In another chapter in restaurant etiquette this week, Doordash says they will prompt you to tip before you place your order, or else your food might arrive cold. I'm here for it. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse podcast. It's Mr. Foxy, I Refuse podcast. Again, I was minding my African American business. I was this close to minding my African American business, but y'all just continue to act a fool. So, fresh off of the Keith Lee video that we posted not even 24 hours ago, another chapter has been added to restaurant etiquette, food service etiquette, what have you, in that DoorDash is currently in the testing phases with prompting you in their app to add your tip before you place your order. Or you can expect your food to take longer to arrive, to be delivered. I'm here for it. I've said on the I Refuse podcast, the last 2 or so seasons, the podcast started during the pandemic, about the importance of tipping. And I've even been down in the comment section on IG here and there, pushing back against this entitled attitude that some people have when it comes to tipping and such of that nature. Restaurants, delivery service, being a waitress, being a bartender, this is not a new form of employment. This is not something that just started. We've been eating out for decades, generations, right? A lot of us have friends that are in food service who have these jobs as waitresses and bartenders, cut your hair, things of that nature. Their hourly rate is less than minimum wage, right? So they're basically going into work every day, 6, sometimes 7 days a week, working 8 or more hours each night, and they're on their feet the whole time, and they are working their asses off. So the tips are their bread and butter. Like, you go into a Fridays, that's why when you go into a Fridays on Olive Garden or a barber shop or any kind of bar, and you sit at the bar, the person is just very chatty, very warm, very engaging. Like, they're not doing that for their health. And yes, while there is an expectation that everybody should be nice, in this specific kind of industry, that's part of the game. And besides that, these are people that went to school for this kind of stuff, right? Or went through some kind of training to get licensed and all this other stuff. So on top of being passionate about it and they like their work, this isn't somebody off the street. So now you have it here where we were all in the house for about a good 2 years because of the pandemic. A lot of us were setting ourselves on fire because we had to cook. We had to essentially fend for ourselves. And a lot of us aren't good at cooking, right? Especially the white people over there, they were losing their minds, going out here acting a fool. And I jokingly said, that's from months of being inside the house, having to taste their own cooking. That's me being petty. But the point is, for the last 2 or 3 years, we've been hitting DoorDash and Uber Eats more often than not. Like, even myself, the first couple of years of the pandemic, we were doing the DoorDash thing because exhausted from working. And then if you've had the situation, like I've had this situation, that wears you out even more. So you're just overall tired. You don't have the motivation to cook. So you go to Doordash, you go to Uber Eats. So unfortunately, what y'all have done out here is taken the sense of entitlement and the lack of etiquette and placing conditions on restaurant workers, waitresses, bar people, to the point that you're taking away from a tip that you put on the table because you felt the service was bad, which is that's such a cop out. You've taken those kind of attitudes over to DoorDash and Uber Eats and all this other stuff. And you've even stood 10 toes down with it in the comment section in such a creative way. Not able to comprehend why is DoorDash doing this, or why are they like you're defending why you don't tip. Basically showing yourselves to be buttholes. So just like with Keith Lee, you guys can't wait to run to social media and tell on yourselves and further prove why DoorDash is justified in doing this. Mind you, it's just a prompt. And you still have the choice not to tip. They're not forcing you. Like, oh, well, if you proceed with a $0 tip, then we're not going to let your order go through. You can still put your order through. You're still going to get your food, but it may take longer than expected. Mind you, DoorDash, for as long as I've been using DoorDash, has always had this thing that they don't prompt you until after you place the order, that the driver that has opted to pick up your order has other orders on the way. So you already run the risk of your order not coming straight to you as you hope, right? A lot of us are so on this hill that we die on for, the food better be hot, the food better be fresh. There's no guarantee with DoorDash anyway with that. Because a lot more people are out, depending on the city that you're in. Traffic is probably a biatch at the certain times of the day that you order your food. And you know this because you have a car and you're out there, right? So this isn't too far off base of what's kind of already in place as far as the guarantee that you don't have that your food's going to come to you as soon as you order it anyway. But DoorDash is kind of petty if they're going to actually make part of the messaging that your food's going to be cold or longer than expected. I know y'all, that's going to piss y'all off even more. But I like it because for the longest time, right? For the longest time, people have been on this thing about reforming things or canceling, things in society because that's what needs to be done to turn the system around, right? For example, just an example, I'm not comparing the two. For the longest time, people were saying, oh, well, we need to defund the police. And that was just the state. That was just a general blanket thing, but never getting really into the weeds about it as to how do you mean? Because I could just come in and say, oh, well, if we defund the police, you wouldn't have anybody there to answer your 911 call for real dangerous shit. And the thing about generalizations is it's unfair to other people within that group. So the defunding as a mean of reform, kind of odd. Now my idea was, if you go if you turn your eyes to police pensions and stuff like that, and you make that part of the compromise, you will start to see some of those numbers go down. So when we talk about pushing against this kind of thing that Doordash is doing, or you're pushing against tipping and you're defensive about it to the point of, well, I don't see why I got to do this. They're not forcing you to tip. You still have an out. But just understand that there's a consequence to that sense of entitlement. Just like there would be a consequence to the sense of entitlement that we feel that people in a position of power like we have with Doordash, or, the power of control that we have with being a customer, that we can also expect some kind of reform or pushback against us as the customer. Because quiet as it's kept, if you go to like YouTube and you see like the long search results on customer freakouts, like, y'all have been turning customer service upside down and using the customer is always right as a cop out. And it's like, person to person, you're not entitled to respect because of some implied or perceived power that you have as a customer. You're not the only customer, and corporate is not taking videos. Like, it's gotten to a point to where y'all are taking your phones out and performing for the camera and causing a performance in a scene just to get a response. Y'all are going behind the counters at McDonald's, assaulting people. Y'all are going behind the counters of like convenience stores and getting up into the workers' faces, the owners. Y'all are trashing convenience stores. Y'all are like throwing shit at people, thinking you're not going to get a response. And when you do, you're on the news crying with the black eye. And it's like, somewhere, just like with this Doordash customer service thing and this restaurant etiquette thing that Keith Lee has been doing, somewhere along the lines, y'all have lost your goddamn minds. And everybody's paying attention. Doordash is paying attention. Uber Eats is paying attention. People down at McDonald's that work at McDonald's are paying attention. And they're pushing back. And just like with those examples, Doordash is reforming the experience. And on top of that, y'all want to get up here and, as I guess a counter argument, run down a list of the different kind of fees and the different prices for each fee that Doordash is asking. Less than $2 to $3. Like, they're not running this app free of charge. You know what I mean? Like, they're not running these ride sharing and food apps, with no out-of-pocket cost. Like, for shit to keep running and to keep people employed that do the engineering on the behind the curtain to keep these apps user friendly, yeah, that's not a small amount of money. Y'all are using these little fees as a counter argument. Like, how dare Doordash expect us to tip on top of these fees and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm just going to naturally assume that y'all use DoorDash more than y'all cook in y'all house. Now, earlier I had said something about the cost of stuff, right? Like I want to say part of the Panasonic that we've been in for the past 3 years, the outcome or the downside of being in a Panasonic is that we forgot that stuff has been going up. And I'm not just talking about gas, I'm talking about normal day-to-day stuff, milk, cereal, meat. And if you don't have the patience for all of that, like actually going and to the meat section and perusing for the cheaper amount of the meat and stuff, you'll just run DoorDash. And imagine, like, a lot of people are using that DoorDash more than cooking. So let's say that's like 3 to 5 days a week. That's about $100 or so. Even though stuff at the store has gone up in price a little bit, it's still manageable. And a lot of people are not, I don't know if it's just how people were just not equipped, or it wasn't placed in them to be a little bit more self-sufficient, but it's like learning how to cook and keeping a level of sustainability at home and doing for yourself has kind of also been thrown to the wayside. And it's nothing really to get behind that stove and cook up something in about 20-25 minutes for less than what you're complaining about in fees on DoorDash. But yet and still, like I said earlier, it's a choice. Like, they're not forcing you to come to DoorDash. They're not forcing you to come to Uber Eats. Anytime you open up these apps and stuff, you're using their service. And to use their service, they're putting these little fees into as part of your order. Like, DoorDash and Uber having being so popular and being around as long as they have comes from us using it a lot during the Panasonic. Now you want to complain that they're just prompting you. But had y'all been tipping in the first place, or at least changing the attitude that in this economy, in this world right now, because we are where we are right now, people have had to take at least 2 additional jobs. Like, you got to remember, we're also in the same society that has raised has moved the goalpost up higher before they can employ you at an entry level. Like, the high school bachelor's degree is not the only thing it takes. Like, they want you to have like 15 plus some years for an entry level thing, like lowballing the yearly pay, just to work on the floor level. Like, we were just having this conversation about raising the minimum wage, and y'all were pushing against that too. And it's like, y'all don't want to pay us a livable wage, So we have to make do in the meantime by picking up an additional job, such as being a DoorDash delivery person and rideshare. Like, the era of survival is more prominent than ever, and people are complaining more than ever. Like, you can't have it both ways. Like, complaining about it and not doing anything or helping the next person just to keep or maintain their sustainable level of living is wild to me. At the end of the day, yes, capitalism sucks. And I know that a huge part of its thrival and survival is on lower income people. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that my theory is that a lot of the people that are doing the door dashing and the ride sharing are part of the lower income folks, just trying to keep it together and trying to give you a pleasant experience the entire time during the business transaction on DoorDash or rideshare. Yeah, y'all are mad at DoorDash? Like, it's not even like they're placing a metric system on the tipping part. Like, oh, if it's not between $0 to $10, your food may take additional 15-20 minutes to get to your house on top of the estimated time. Or, if you're not paying between $20 and $30 on the tip on your order, it may, you know what I mean? It's like, it has to be greater than 0. Which leads me to believe that y'all have been tipping $0 for the past 2 years. Enough of y'all. For DoorDash to be like, yeah, we're gonna have to do something about that. And it was just a tweet from DoorDash saying this is what they were working on. Well, they since deleted it. For y'all to catch that and light yourselves on fire about it. Oh, okay. Like, it's gotten to a point where this is going on, or this is about to happen. It's gotten to a point in customer service, retail places, even just being in a restaurant, where like McDonald's is taking the fountain machine out of the dining area and leaving it behind the counter. So the workers behind the counter, you have to go up and ask or possibly pay additional money for a refill. Because let me tell you, it's probably because y'all bring outside cups and those empty milk gallon jugs, or even down to asking for a courtesy cup, which is for water only, to go over to the fountain machine, look over your shoulder to make sure nobody that works there is looking at you, to take the courtesy cup over to a Coca-Cola or a Sprite spout under the fountain machine. I'm just like, tipping is not a bad thing. And hopefully by listening to you or watching or listening to this, that you finally get it. Like, it's not that hard. And I think a large part of the entitlement comes from not being in that industry, or not knowing people to understand, people that work in that industry. Food service, restaurants, now the food delivery service. Y'all have been gone without tipping for a long time, to the point that some of y'all are being chased out of the restaurant, chased down the street, which I can get into a whole nother conversation about that. But that's for another video, another day. I'm with it. Like DoorDash and all this other stuff is a luxury. It's a luxury. And if you can convince yourself not to cook food in your own damn house for under $20, to go to DoorDash and be like, oh, I'm gonna use this app that charges $5 of probably maintenance costs. That's what those fees are. To pay roughly $55, because y'all can't just order this one thing. To end up paying 2-3 times as much, and you want me to tip? Oh, the nerve of you, DoorDash. Oh, my goodness. Whatever shall I do? A lot of people complain just to be part of the argument, and they'll turn right back around and keep using DoorDash. But here's the funny part. Y'all mad about the idea that your food may come up to your door cold because you didn't tip. But you'll turn around and use that same microwave in the apartment that you probably don't know how to work, or probably haven't been taught how to cook, to warm up that food. So you're only going to be mad for what? Another 3 or 4 minutes? Those are my intrusive thoughts coming up during the video. As a lot of my intrusive thoughts do start to peek in the longer I record. This is just another bonus you get over here at the I Refuse podcast. So I'm here for it. I've already been tipping for about, in the DoorDash app, for about 3 years. I myself personally, I tip half the amount of the order or more. And that has nothing to do with, tipping has nothing to do with how much money you make. It has more to do with respect and appreciation for the people that are bringing the food to you and doing a service for you. Because like I said, it's a choice. I've been doing that. I've been tipping in general since the age of 16, 17 years old. And nobody had to tell me. I've had some people come at me about the amount I've tipped. Like, okay. But like I said, I'm going to save that for another video. The argument over how much to tip and the circumstances and the context into that situation. In the meantime, good luck with DoorDash. Y'all tipping and stuff. You might want to break out your calculators and get it together. Get into some mathematics. Calculate how much a 15% or 20% tip is of the order you're about to make or the order you're about to put in, whether it's at Applebee's or DoorDash or Uber Eats. Because 20% is the standard, right? It wouldn't hurt to go above that. If you're not doing DoorDash a lot, if you don't eat out that often, it doesn't hurt to go above 20% here and there. I mean, like I said, these people are working on a $2 to $3 hourly rate. So going in to the restaurants or Doordash, that what you tip them is what they look is how they maintain a living. And I know they're great people. So bring out those calculators. This is Mr. Fox, the I Refuse podcast. I will catch you guys later. Try to make it a week without any nonsense, please. Or else I'll be over here on the I Refuse podcast. Available on all streaming platforms. Season 5 is out. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, at I Refuse Podcast is the Twitter. Follow, subscribe, show love. You know, the YouTube channel. Link is going to be in the bio everywhere. So try to be on the up and up, or else we will be here again. Bye. Fendi, like the bag. This is the I Refuse.